Welcome to this module of Professor Messer's free Microsoft 7680 certification training course on shared resources. I'm James Messer, and in this module we're going to look at how you would take these files and these folders and these printers that we have on our computer and share them with other people across the network. This comes from our 7680 exam, Configuring Microsoft Windows 7. It's in the section called Configuring Access to Resources, which is 13% of the exam, and we're going to look at requirements such as folder virtualization. We need to understand how to configure and look at the shared folder permissions. Those are very extensive. We're going to go into a lot of detail there. Talk about sharing our printers and how you would manage the queues and who can print to those printers. And we'll also look at something called Home Group, which was built to make sharing of these resources, especially in a home or small office environment, much, much easier. The Microsoft 7680 exam requirements document refers to something called folder virtualization, but if you look into Windows 7 and what it's doing, it's more commonly called libraries. Libraries are these folders, and you've probably seen them if you go to your Explorer. Right under the library section, there's documents, there's music, there's pictures and videos, just as the default libraries that have been created. These are not folders. These are not actual subdirectories on your hard drive. These are actually pointers to subdirectories. And so it makes it very easy for us to create a library or use an existing library name, but it's actually pointing to a subdirectory on another server. In some cases, it can even point to multiple subdirectories or folders on different computers. But when you click on that library, you all see it as if it's in this one folder on your computer, which makes it very easy to use. And it also makes it easy for us to take these folders and these documents that we normally see locally and keep them on other parts of servers that might be in other parts of the network. This makes it very, very easy now to take all of your user files, all of the things that you use day to day, and put them on a centralized location somewhere in your network. That means you can log into anybody's machine, and when you click on libraries, your library will always be there, even though you're moving from hard drive to hard drive to hard drive, because you've stored everything somewhere else. Doesn't matter where you log in, all of your files will be right there. You can also take advantage of something in Windows 7 called offline files. And offline files will allow you to click that and have those files available as a cache on your local drive, and yet they're still also externally. That way, if you take your laptop home and you're no longer connected to your corporate environment, even though you're working at home, those files will still be there because they are offline files. So nice capability that allows you to work with those files, and then when you come back into the office, all in the background, it synchronizes all of these files behind the scenes. So it's very, very seamless in the way that it operates. And if you think about this, now we're able to take a user's login, and if we're using roaming profiles, which means their configurations are all stored on central file servers, we've now taken all your user documents, your user folders, these libraries, and we're storing them somewhere else. Now we have a completely mobile workforce. Now we can have anybody sign into any machine, and they see the same desktop, they have the same permissions, they have the same customizations, and they have the same user documents that they always are accustomed to seeing. So it takes this idea of having a virtual environment and making it so that you can go to anybody's computer and it all looks the same to you. Here's our Windows 7 operating system. What I'd like to do is build a new library, and then I'd like to take other folders and add them into the new library that I'm creating. So I'm going to go to my Windows Explorer and pop up, and by default, the libraries pops up, and you can see the default libraries of documents and music and pictures and videos are right here. If I right mouse click in here, I can choose new, and because I'm in a library folder, the option that I have here is to create a new library. You don't put files in here. You create libraries, and then you have pointers to files or folders in other locations. I would like this to be my mission logs. I'll put that in right there. And if I double click, you'll see that no folders have been included in this library. Well, I'd like to include a folder, so let's click the big button. And it says, okay, where would you like to include? Let's go to the documents that we have. I would like to include my archived mission reports. We'll include that folder, and it has that folder in there. And I'd like to add another folder as well. If I right mouse click and choose the properties of this mission logs, notice that it has that archived mission reports folder that we just added. And I can also include other folders in here. My documents, I might want to also include off-world briefings. and include that folder as well. And if I click OK, now you'll see that in that same mission logs, I have multiple folders and multiple files that are popping up in there. So in my libraries, the mission logs just happens to be another library that's there. These happen to be on my hard drive, but they could be on network servers somewhere else. And I'm able to access them exactly the same way that I would access any other file. So it makes it very, very simple for me to find information, group things together, maybe take different items on different computers. Maybe I have images on one computer, video on another computer, screen recordings on another computer, and bring them all back to a single view so that I can work on video editing and have them all in one place. I can do the same thing for pictures or the same thing for other documents. Makes it very, very simple for me to go to one place and see everything I need to see. We have these folders and these files that we usually keep on our hard drive. We may keep them on a file server somewhere. They may be in our private folder on a file server, but we might want to provide access for other people to be able to edit these files, or perhaps just view these files, or perhaps delete these files if we'd like them to. So we should be able to set up some sharing capabilities so that if somebody connected to that folder from across the network, we could give them specific rights and permissions to do different things. There's different ways of doing file sharing. There's a basic sharing functionality, and then there are advanced sharing functions. We're going to look at both of those in our next section. We're going to demonstrate that capability. I'll also go through and show you how you can centralize the shares that you have. You might have 5 shares in your machine. You might have created 10 or more. There's one central place you can go to really look at all of those. We're going to use both the GUI, but there's also a command line feature that allows you to set all of your shares and configure everything, of course, right there at the command line. We're going to use netshare to do a lot of that. Here's a set of folders that I have on my computer that I would like to share with others. I have some mission reports, some diagnostic reports, off-world briefings. I'm going to right mouse click on one of these, and you can see one of the options right here in the menu is share with. And now right here I can choose to share this with nobody, and that really removes all access to that particular folder. Or you can choose specific people that you would like to share this with. And this is a very simple way to add an individual user and some basic default functionality, some basic rights to this. And I can choose to share this with everyone. Maybe that's what I'd like to do. But everyone can read. They can read, write. Notice it's very simple. I don't have a lot of nuances here. You can either read the data or read and write the data. There's no in-betweens or extra additional capabilities there. This is a very, very simple front end to be able to use. Maybe in this case, I don't want anyone to have access to that unless it's a specific person, and I would like to have a little bit more flexibility on the type of access someone has to this. So let's cancel out of this. What I'd like to do is click the right mouse click here. Instead of choosing the share with that we looked at before, choose the properties. And you can see there is a tab here for sharing. And in that tab, I can either click share, which gives us exactly the same dialog box that we saw before, or I can click advanced sharing. And we get a prompt here to give us the correct rights and permissions, because only administrators should be doing these advanced sharing functions. So I'm going to type in my administrator account information so we can see that. And add in, you can see the advanced sharing allows me to share this folder. And this is the name of the folder, the name of the share that I would like to create out there on the network. And I can set permissions and caching in here too. Permissions is the share permissions for everyone. And maybe I want to remove everyone from this mix. And we're going to click the add button, and I get this dialog box that allows me to select users, computers, service accounts, or groups. These are coming from my domain. And I don't happen to know the name of the person that I would like to put in here. So I'm going to go to advanced, which allows me to do a search here, common queries. The name starts with Sam. I'm going to do a list now to find everybody who starts with Sam. And there's the person I would like to add, Samantha Carter. We'll choose that. And it simply adds Samantha's information right into this mix. And I'm going to click OK. And when you select Samantha Carter now, you can see that you can set this to have full control, change, or read access to either allow or deny. Now, this is important to think about when you look at allowing or denying. The allowing will always allow them to perform that function. The deny means that they will not be able to do that. You are explicitly keeping them from doing that. You also notice that these build from the bottom up. You can either have read access, that's great. If you choose change, I'm going to clear all this out and choose change. Notice that it also clicks read, which makes sense. You'd have to be able to read it to be able to change it. And if you get rid of both of those, if you click full control, notice it fills in all the others. So when you choose something that's higher up, it also automatically includes pieces that are underneath this mix. Now, you may not want to have full control to this, and if you choose a deny, notice it's a similar situation, except it removes any of the allows that you have there. Maybe you are allowed to read, but you are definitely not allowed to do something else. And as soon as you choose that deny, it covers everything underneath it. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. Denies will always deny, regardless of how you set these up. Those are much more important than the allows. So even if you're trying to allow something, the moment you click that deny, everything's going to shift into that deny column. In our case, what I'd like to do is give Samantha Carter full control to this. We're going to click OK. I'm going to click OK there and finally close that out. And now I've shared that archived mission reports document folder there. You can see that I've got now, if I go back into my properties and choose the sharing, that I have under the advanced sharing capabilities given that access to that particular folder to Samantha Carter. And I know that I have those permissions set up for her, and I can go in and add others. I can remove her. I can change her rights and permissions just by repeating that entire process again. Let's do the exact same folder sharing, but let's do it at the command line this time. I've already gone in behind the scenes and removed the share. So we're going to create this from scratch. I'm going to type CMD, and you want to do this in an elevated prompt. So I'm going to do a Control Shift and hit Enter. And it's going to ask me for the administrator password because we are making a share on this machine. The command is netshare, and if we just do netshare by itself, it shows us all of the shares available on our computer. I'll show you in a moment how you can also do that from the GUI. We're going to use the netshare command, and if I hit a /?, you can see that we can build out a share name to the drive and path and then use the /grant command to add that grant permission with, in this case, we're going to add full access for Samantha Carter. So let's share that archived mission reports folder. I'm going to do a net share, and I'm going to call this archived mission reports. Notice because it has spaces in there that I put it in between quotes, but I want it to be identical to what we did before. And that is going to go in a location under my user directory under Daniel Jackson, and it is in the documents folder, and it's called archived mission reports. And I've just hit tab after I typed in a few characters to speed that along. I'm going to use the grant command, and we're going to put in Samantha Carter as the user, and she has full access, and it says archived mission reports was shared successfully. And if we do a net share, we can see that indeed archived mission reports is listed there. If we want more details, we can do a net share of archived mission reports. And you can see that it also has Samantha Carter's permissions in there with the full permission. If we wanted to add other users to that, we can do another /grant, another /grant, another /grant on that command line, and it would add multiple users to that all at the same time. One easy way to see the list of all of the shared folders from the GUI is from our Start menu. Let's go to Control Panel. I'm going to choose Administrative Tools, and let's just bring up the Computer Management option. And within Computer Management is an option for shared folders, and if we double click on shares, there's the listing of all the shares that are out there, not just the defaults that come with this, but you can see the archived mission reports folder is there with the information about the folder path. And if somebody was connected to that share, we would see the number of client connections to that share. So whether you're using the command line or whether you're in the GUI, you can always add, remove, and get access to see exactly what shares you have out there. Almost all environments are going to have one printer or more there, and these are expensive devices that generally sit around and aren't doing anything. So it makes sense that you would put it in a central location on your network, and then multiple people could connect to that printer, print out everything they needed, and you wouldn't have to buy an individual printer for everybody in your environment. Now that you have this on your network, you could connect it up to a single user's computer and then set up that user's computer to share that printer to other people. You can also set access. Maybe you only want certain people printing to that printer. Maybe other people should be able to manage the queue in that printer and change who gets different priorities to the queue or can remove items from the queue. We can do all of that from within the printer configuration. Let's go into our Windows 7 control panel, look at what printers we have there, and see what options we have available for sharing them. You can find anything dealing with printers under the option under your control panel called Devices and Printers. You can go there from the control panel. You'll also see from the Start menu there is a Devices and Printers option right here, and this brings up a list of all of your devices and printers on the screen. If you'd like to change who is able to connect to and share this printer, here's the Brother printer on our computer. I'm going to right mouse click and choose Printer Properties. And one of the options you have right here is a tab for sharing, and you can share this printer right here. Call it the name that you would like it. You can render the print job on the client computers, and they simply send the print job over to your computer. Notice you also have another option to list it in the directory, and if other users have different versions of Windows out there, you can install additional drivers on your computer, and when they first connect to this printer and they might be running Windows XP, you can have the Windows XP driver here that's automatically sent down to that computer. So it's a very, very quick way so that you can add those new drivers and people can be printing as quickly as possible. You also have the option here for security. Maybe you would like people to print to this printer, but only a certain group of folks. Not everybody might have access to this printer. You can see currently everyone has print access. Well, maybe you want to deny that access. Maybe you don't want everyone by default to have access to print. Maybe you would like to have everybody access to print, and maybe you'd also like everyone to be able to manage the printer. Maybe it's a small work environment and you feel comfortable having everyone manage it. Or of course, you can add other people into this mix. We have already gone through the same dialog box before. Maybe we would like for Teal'c to have access to this printer. I'm going to find that name. There's his username in the domain, and I will add it into this mix. And for Teal'c, he's going to be able to manage the printer and manage documents on there. You can also set up special permissions here that would allow other types of capabilities. Let's go down to the configurations we have. We see a number of names here that are able to manage this, and you can even change permissions. Have this person read, change, or take ownership of these resources on the computer. You can do that not just with printers, but with files and folders on your computer as well. So a lot of very detailed permissions that you can build from here, a lot of different capabilities to be able to allow access to print, access to modify the queue, and to do other things with our printer, all from this single screen in the printer properties. If you've ever had a couple of computers at home and you needed to set up sharing with that, you may recall that it could be a little bit tedious, especially when you have multiple machines. Each machine has to have users that can log into it. Each one of those usernames may be the same on the machines. They may be different. Each of them will have a different set of usernames and passwords. It becomes a little bit cumbersome. That obviously is helped a little bit in an environment where you have domain controllers. It's a domain type administration, but at home you don't have that luxury. So what Microsoft has done is created this capability called Home Group, where you can have this centralized grouping of machines at your home that allows you easy access to files and printers and other resources on the network. Now, to be able to create a home group, you have to have Windows 7 Home Premium, Windows 7 Professional, Windows 7 Ultimate, or Enterprise to create one. If you've got other editions of Windows 7, you can connect to a home group, but you cannot create one from scratch. You also cannot create a home group if it is a machine that is already a member of a domain. So you need to have a machine at home that's not on a previous domain. I've got a couple of machines in my home environment. Let's build a home group and then let's connect to it with another machine and see what we can get. Here's one of my home computers. I'm going to create a home group from scratch by going to the control panel, and one of the options in here is the home group, and it will tell you there's currently no home group on the network, and it allows you to share files and printers with other computers running Windows 7. So let's create a home group from scratch, and we can choose what we would like to share. This is going to open up the specific sharing settings for all of these different folders and libraries on our computer. Maybe we'd like to share everything. So I'm going to include pictures, music, videos, documents, and printers, and click Next. It now creates the home group. That's how difficult it is to build this out. Again, Microsoft wanted to make this as simple as possible for creating this. The one thing that you will need is this password. So you need this oddly numbered password because you only want people that are able to connect to this home group the proper access. You don't just want to open it up to the world. So to be able to access these on other computers, everybody's going to need this password. And they even give you a link here to print the password and some instructions out so that you can hand those to other people and have them type them in. Let's go to our other computer and connect to this home group. Now that our home group is going on the first computer, we'll go to our second computer. I will choose the control panel and home group again, but this time, instead of it telling us that the home group doesn't exist, it says there's now a home group on this network, and we can join now by clicking the join button and specify what we would like to share on our home group. Now we need the password from our other home group computer. If I flip over to my home group computer on the other side and print the home group password, we can type in that original password we got. There it is. And if I type that in and it matches what's on the other side, then it will have joined me to this home group, and I can begin accessing files and printers shared by other people in the home group. I'll finish up, and you can see all of my home group settings are now here on this screen, and I can leave the home group or change password or change some of the sharing settings that we set up earlier. But now I should be able to go out to the network and see everything associated with this home group. So let's bring up our Explorer here, and we can see there is now a home group there, and we can see all of the documents and things set up on that other computer now automatically. It just becomes part of the home group. It's already chosen to share those things with the rest of the home group. I don't have to know any special usernames and passwords, and it makes the sharing of these resources very, very seamless. And when you're in a home environment and there isn't that huge requirement for usernames and passwords, this makes it very, very easy to share these resources. Let's review some of the things we've gone through in this resource sharing module. Our first question, how can you manage print permissions on a shared printer? If you recall, there was a certain section we go into under the printer settings. It's in our printer properties and the security tab. Our next question, which editions of Windows 7 support the creation of a home group? If you recall, not every edition was able to create a home group, even though other Windows 7 editions could connect to a previously created home group. The ones that can create a home group, Home Premium, Professional, Ultimate, and Enterprise. And our last question, what command line tools should you use to add a new Windows share? If you recall, we did that at the command line using the net share command, and we added the name of the share, the location of it, the share on our hard drive, and any users we'd like to grant permission to use that share. That covers our requirements for this module on shared resources. We've looked at folder virtualization, our shared folder permissions, printers and queues, and finally how to set up and use a home group in a home setting. If you'd like to see any of our absolutely free Microsoft 7680 videos and many more, you can visit our website at ProfessorMesser.com.